How old how old is too old to trick or treat? You know, like I do remember my freshman year of college. I had just joined a dance team. I made a new group of friends. You start going out very early in your college life. I will say that you make friends very fast. Especially at the top of the year, whether you're rushing a fraternity, whether you join a dance team, you start making friends pretty fast. And before you know it, next thing you know, it's Halloween time. October rolls around. And it's like, okay, you know what? What are we doing for Halloween? Halloween's one of the best times. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. If you went to college at any big university, especially University of Texas at Austin, you know that Halloween was one of those things, boy. You go to 6th Street, it used to be a different beast. It used to be a different beast. Everyone's in their Halloween outfits. People coming from out of town, whether it's from College Station, Lubbock, it doesn't matter. People coming from different states to do Halloween on 6th Street. Now that's one thing, right? The partying on Halloween is one thing. But I'm talking about trick or treating. I do remember one of the nights, I think it was obviously specifically Halloween night, me and probably four other people, one dude or two dudes and three girls, we went trick or treating in a neighborhood. We drove to a neighborhood and went trick or treating. And that was probably the most embarrassing thing I've done since being older than 18. It First of all, I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4". You can't be taller than 5'5" and be trick or treating without any children with you. Like how embarrassing, how embarrassing as a grown ass man, not even a grown ass man, right? But as a grown ass child, as a teenager, as a pre-adult person to be putting your hands out and saying trick or treat for some candy. That's how the Diddy party started. Am I wrong? That's how the Diddy party started. I just think there has to be an age where it's like this is socially unacceptable. And I think there is. I was in Dallas this last weekend. Well, firstly, welcome to the Ajay Patel Show. My name is Ajay Patel, and this is episode 82. And I was in Dallas this last weekend. And I was at my parents' house, and I told them, I was like, yo, just turn the lights off. Just turn the lights off. And I start getting called the Grinch. I start getting called the Grinch of Halloween. Oh, why does he care for the hoopla and all the festivities and the kids? He hates the kids. But in reality, I know that neighborhood. I know that neighborhood. I remember going trick or treating I was probably still, last time I went trick or treating was maybe 14, right? I was still 6'1", right? I was tall in my early days as well. So I got these stretch marks. But I would remember going around and seeing these grown ass kids walking around, egging houses, rolling around in one person would be driving the truck, everyone hop off the truck, run up to the house, get some candy, hop back in the truck, on to the next block. And the thing is that's the shit that gets me, where I'm like, yo, y'all, I don't want my parents to be having grown ass kids rolling up on their house. I don't want them to be waiting outside and a bunch of 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds come on up trying to get some candy. It just puts you, just in a weird spot. I'm on the Ring account for my parents' house. And anytime there's a doorbell ring, my heart sinks a little bit. Now you can call it anxious, whatever you want to call it, but it is what it is. As soon as I get a ring notification that someone rang the doorbell, I get a little scared. Oh shit, who the hell is visiting my parents and ringing the doorbell? Visiting people doesn't happen anymore. Let's put that out there. I remember as a kid, randomly on a weekend, you'd hear the doorbell ring. You go out there, you're like, oh, who the hell is this auntie? Oh shit, why are they here? Why are they here? And they used to just be passing by. They used to just be going to the Mundir, and they had an extra 10 minutes, and they wanted to just hang out at the house because we were in the area. And back then it used to be a little bit normal. You invite them in, you give them some water, you burn an hour of your day, you hang out with them, then they go. But somewhere probably along the lines of 2008, 2012, that tendency went away. People don't just randomly pop up at your house now. You have to go through trials and tribulations to have people over. You have to plan this shit in advance. You have to say, hey, what are we doing November 8th? Oh, well, that's in 2 days. I don't know. No, 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 no. November 8th, 2027. What are we doing? That's how far you got to plan in advance half the time nowadays. Because that's what people need. There's no more of this culture of like, yeah, I just hopped in. Not if you live in the burbs. Not if you live in somewhere like Texas or California. In New York, if you're in those east cities, I get it. It's a different beast, right? You're just hopping over to one person's place, this and that. It's a different game. We're not talking about that. I don't like people visiting my parents' house, is what I'm trying to say. And then I went over to my sister's place. And she has 2 kids. One's 6, one's shit. 2? Damn. Ooh, I'm becoming one of those uncles. The point is that they're young. And then my wife's cousin brings her kids over. So now we're doing Halloween with 4 kids and then eat all of their parents. And we get dressed up, right? Now, let me tell you something. I think I've said this on the podcast before. I am not that good at Halloween. I am probably a top 5 worst Halloween outfitter in the world. Let me tell y'all some of my outfits that I've just been so embarrassed of. I obviously did the Clark Kent thing. Every brown boy in the history of history has either dressed up as Clark Kent or the motherfucker from Aladdin. Every brown boy in history has bought the glasses, has bought the Superman shirt, worn a white button down from Express, black pants, and has left it a little bit open. No muscles, no powers. I'm echoing a bit, and it's kind of disturbing me. But you dress up as Clark Kent, or you go to Party City, what's it called? The place you buy all the Halloween outfits. Oh, there's so many stores that pop up for like 3 months at a time. You buy that Aladdin outfit. You get your girl to wear some Jasmine outfit. So I did the Clark Kent outfit. Now let me tell you the other thing that a lot of brown boys have dressed up as. A basketball player. I've done that multiple times too. I've put the jersey on. Ooh, it's Halloween weekend. I'm gonna get around. Ooh, I'm showing some skin, boy. Ooh, look at my knees. My knees are out at the pre-party. This is gonna get them good now. I've done that. And then another year, look, I have some questionable Halloween outfits. I was Twister. You spin the board, and I had dots on me. Throughout the night, the dots fell off. I didn't even get into the club, and I went home. Like I said, a top 5 bad outfit. Number 4, just leave it up to your imagination. This year, I literally put my apron on. I took an apron and I put it on and I said, "Fuck it, I'm a chef. I'm a chef. You've watched The Bear, right? I'm a chef. Oh, but you're not wearing the blue. Yeah, but I'm a different chef." And that was my outfit this year, and that's the best I could come up with. Isha was giving me shit. She was like, "Why don't you put some blood on? Why don't you put some blood on your knife so you a scary chef?" I don't want to ruin my clothes. Does it look like I want to do laundry after I go trick-or-treating? But that's besides the point. I this year felt it in me where it's like, you got to dress up. Do something. Oh, the year before that, I wore a onesie. And I was like a panda bear or something. That was pretty cool. I did like that one. Now, the concept of trick-or-treating, when you have kids, right? It's a different beast. When you're trick-or-treating as a grown child, you have a problem. When you're taking your kids around trick-or-treating, I think there's something special to it. I think there's something truly special to it. One, it's this idea of, it's a very easy way to see your neighbors. And it's almost the purest form you see your neighbors. Right? Everyone tries to avoid their neighbors for the most part. This is my, I'm making general assumptions here, as I always do, but most of it's informed. People like to avoid their neighbors. You don't want to get caught up in random conversations. You do want a neighbor friend, just in case you're out of town, you need a package picked up, you need some help. Hey, my fire alarm, my alarm's going off. Could you hop over there and check it out? Hey, I'm going out of town. Could you water some plants? You do want like 1 or 2 neighbor friends, right? But the entire community, you do try your best to, stay under the radar a bit. You don't want to become a nuisance. You don't want to become anyone's issue. You just want to do your thing. You just want to live in peace. And oftentimes when you meet your neighbors, it can be in a moment of unpleasantness, right? You parked your car somewhere it wasn't supposed to be. Maybe you're having a party you shouldn't, it shouldn't be having at a certain time. Well, whatever it may be, hey, you got to cut your grass, whatever it is. But in a time like trick or treating, and look, my job, I was just pushing the wagon in the back, watching the kids go up there, watching the kids come back. I was the excess candy guy, right? I was the warehouse in the back that people just put their excess stock in, and then they go off and go make some more bread. People are their purest form most of the time when they're around kids. They're the nicest they can be. They're, a lot of times half the kids are scared to even go up on the porch, right? Obviously, it's like a made up scene of scariness, but for a kid, that's real. That's real scariness. Sometimes they lean into it. Sometimes, they're a little deterred by it. And then the parents will literally stand up and acknowledge, like, hey, this kid's scared, so let me go up to him or her and put candy in their basket. And then it's obviously the same routine over and over again. Hey, make sure you say trick or treat. What do you say? Thank you. That's right. And then as the adult, you look up, you look at the adult in the face and say thank you, and then you move on to the next house. And then obviously you get to be at your house handing out candy and doing the same thing to some extent. Now, it depends on what neighborhood you go to. When you live in a nicer neighborhood, right? You don't live in neighborhoods that are that got a lot of issues, if you know what I'm saying. You can do the thing where you just leave the bowl out. Now, I do want to raise this general question. Do y'all do that? Or do y'all feel comfortable enough to just leave the bowl out? Because obviously it's like you don't want to have to upkeep. You don't want to keep opening your door. You don't maybe want to sit outside. There's a lot of mosquitoes in Texas. But at the same time, you're like, whatever. I bought all this candy. I ain't trying to eat it. Right? Who the hell likes Tootsie Rolls? You throw it in the bowl. You put it out on the porch. And obviously, I don't even think this is an Indian thing anymore. You make a couple rounds around the block. You take your kids' candy. You put it back in the bowl for the other people to take. You're just recycling. You're just moving candy around. You're basically washing money. You're just laundering money. You're laundering candy during Halloween. It is what it is. Everyone knows the game. Everyone knows the system. There's a few houses that give you the big bars. And then you think, oh, they got money. They got money. They must be nice. But it's fun to see everyone just in this joyful community thing where everyone's just walking around. People are dressed up. You acknowledge some nice costumes. You acknowledge some nice house decorations, whatever people do. We got a house on my parents' block that be putting up everything. Every year they create a new character. They create a new character, put them in a chair, put them outside, and then boom, that's another person added to the scene. This is a spooky Halloween, and we have this new character. And then the crazy thing they don't tell you about is they got a motherfucker that shoots out from under the car. They have some type of contraction that's motion activated. When you walk by, that thing shoots out. That thing will make you shit yourself, boy. That thing will scare the dog shit out of you. And I'm someone that doesn't like spooky. Not gonna lie. But this is the point I'm trying to get to. Is that one, you're too old to trick or treat. Two, I think this year has made me a bigger fan of keeping the light on. Till about 8 p.m., right? After 8 p.m., you those kids, if you're not asleep by 8 p.m., you a badass kid. Like if you're up past 8 p.m., either you a badass kid or you too old. That's all it is. So turn off the lights at 8 p.m., but make the kids happy. Now, for my older people, we just alluded to this a little bit earlier with the whole 6th Street Halloween talk. You know what it is, right? I don't have to say it. You know what it is. You know what you're supposed to dress up as. You know what this weekend calls for, right? Yeah, you don't care about how cold it is. It used to be colder back in my day. Back in my college day, these girls used to be freezing their ass off. But boy, it didn't matter. Catwoman couldn't wear all those clothes. No. The alcohol blanket doesn't even exist anymore. That's the worst thing that global warming has done, is that it has gotten rid of the alcohol blanket. Back in my day, you used to just wear the outfit. It's Halloween. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing. I'm going to be freezing. You just see people like this at the start of the night. And then by 2 a.m., they loose. They loose. You know why? Because the alcohol blanket doesn't exist anymore. Now, I think this is one of the probably top 3 party weekends in the States as an adult. Halloween, New Year's, and somebody's fucking wedding. So that is also another, obviously I'm not partying like that anymore, right? But it's still fun to see. It's still fun to see people's outfits, how creative they get. Maybe you read into it a little bit. You say, oh, why was he Batman this year? Does he have parent issues? Is he actually a hero? Is he rich? Why was she? No, I can't. Man, if I say anything, y'all are going to read into it and find it and then get my ass. But you know what I'm saying. Halloween's a fun time. So I want to say happy Halloween. And on that note, obviously this episode comes out on Tuesday, November 4th. Y'all ready for this Mamdani party? Huh? Look, now I want to make my stance clear. I don't know the brother. I don't know his stance that well. But I looked up some of the stuff. And so I'm going to read out what's going on for those that just see everyone's stories and see, who is this Mamdani fellow? Why is he always smiling? Bernie Sanders is still alive? Wow, why is he with Mamdani? The New York City mayoral election is today. If you're listening to this on November 4th, Tuesday, the New York City mayoral election is today. Now, here's a short list of the 2 major candidates I want to say. I don't even want to bring up the third because it's just a waste of our time. And a few of their major stances. You ready? Now, this is summarized by ChatGPT, so it can't be wrong. Zohran Mamdani. Obviously, we know this brother from obviously being Indian, right? Emrata was next to him. That's got to be a positive sign, right? If you got hot women next to you, then it works, right? Something must be right if a hot girl's into you. And then the brother's always smiling. And we're going to get back to that in a second. Here are a couple of his stances. And I'll give some opinions if I have any. I don't know New York that well. I don't choose to. Housing and affordability. He plans to triple the production of publicly subsidized, affordable, union-built, rent-stabilized homes over the next 10 years and double investment in existing public housing. Rent control. Advocates for a rent freeze on rent-stabilized units as a way to relieve cost pressure for working households. Tax and redistribution. He would increase taxes on high earners, those earning more than $1 million, and on corporations, directing the revenue toward universal child care, tuition-free CUNY/SUNY, I don't know what that is, and free city buses. Education, less emphasis on the arrival of new selective schools. He's suggesting shifting how the system is governed. The education line, I'm not going to lie with y'all. I don't even understand it at all. But the one thing I've heard a lot about throughout podcasts, TikToks, whatever it is the rent control and the tax and redistribution. Look, every Democratic nominee you hear about from here till probably the next, I want to say 10 years, they're all going to talk about tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. And the reason I think sometimes that doesn't work is the way, and I agree, right? I do agree to an extent, is that, hey, like, why is there that much wealth accumulated at a certain point? Why am I maybe getting taxed the same as someone that's making twice as much as me, maybe 3 times as much as me? It should be incremental, should it not? Now, the one thing I want to point out that I feel like a lot of people don't grasp is, as you get higher onto the tax brackets, there are more and more loopholes that you can take to protect your money. The one thing I always try to talk to my friends about, my wife about, is that I feel like half the game isn't even making the money, it's keeping the money, right? On a year-on-year basis, if you're making $250K, but you're paying half of that into taxes, you're going to be much more poor than the person that's making $180K, but maybe paying like 5% taxes. Or the person that's making maybe a little bit less, a little bit more than you, but protecting the money, right? They find some type of thing to subsidize. They find a bad investment to just park some money in because they know, hey, if I'm showing some loss, then it offsets all the gains. So then, therefore, I'm paying less taxes. These are things that exist. If I buy a car, I can write that off. If I do this, then I can write that off. Now, a lot of these things, I say write off, but you still have to pay for it at the end of the day. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is a game to this tax shit. It's very easy to say tax the rich. Tax the rich, just increase the tax. But the game still exists no matter what. Now, the other issue I find with this whole tax the rich stance is that most of the time, for you to win any of these electoral elections, whether it's local, federal, it doesn't matter what country you're in, honestly, it is my belief that you need millionaires or billionaires to back you as a candidate. And your stance, it's a little weird if your stance is like, hey, I understand you're helping me get into this position, but more than likely on the other side, I'm going to tax the shit out of you, right? I'm going to take money out of your pocket. No matter how much someone loves someone, as soon as you say, I'm going to take money out of your pocket and give it to the government or give it to poor people, no one's on board for that. Even like your friendly neighborhood Democrat that you work with or you go to school with or you live next to or you live with or you're married to. Yeah, we all want to tax the rich. But at the same time, we don't have a belief, or I don't believe there is a belief that money will go to a greater good. I don't think the government properly handles money. I don't need the money to go to how are hot Cheetos developed in 2029. We have to do studies on this shit. And that's why I can never get on board with this whole tax the rich stance. I like the idea, but I don't like the execution. I don't like the people handling the execution. Now then, I will say he's gotten pretty far with this stance. He's gotten very far for a brown brother with this stance. And I'm sure a lot of the backlash has hit him because I think his parents are kind of well off. But I don't know too much about that, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. Now, the whole rent control / free city buses. Anything free is a problem. Anything free is a problem. That doesn't matter what aspect of life. Whether it's the buses, whether it's apartments, whether it's tuition, whether it's, can I just set up a tent on this sidewalk right here because I should be able to. It creates problems because then it creates something that can be, what's the word for when you take advantage of something? Basically manipulated. If this is free, therefore I can do whatever I want on it. The same thing with California, right? Hey, we don't want to penalize people stealing under $700. Next thing you know, what happens? They run into this issue that people are absolutely turning San Francisco, Los Angeles into this massive crime ring. People are running into a Neiman Marcus, stealing whatever the fuck they want. People go into a gas station, stealing whatever the fuck they want. And even though the government made this rule up here, the people that's to probably help, quote unquote, the people down here are still the people that are owning gas stations, that are owning, whatever local franchise they have. Neiman Marcus is probably rich. The people owning Neiman Marcus stores or working at Neiman Marcus stores or get paychecks from Neiman Marcus stores are not rich. They're more steps closer to the person robbing the Neiman Marcus than the person that owns Neiman Marcus. And that's why I hate some of these free stances where it's like, hey, we're not going to punish you, or hey, you can set up a tent wherever you want. Because then you end up with these things like tent cities in Austin where, hey, there's this massive, beautiful building. Wow, look at this glass building, the Frost Bank. Man, it goes up pretty high. Oh, what's that down the block? Is that just a bunch of tents? Who's living there? A bunch of homeless people? Same thing in Los Angeles. You can barely get to go any 2 blocks without seeing a homeless person. And it's not pleasant. Should they have to live like that? No, I don't agree. I don't think so. There's a bunch of empty high rises. Let's turn that bitch into some like a homeless facility. We'll play bingo at night. We'll put a basketball court in there. Maybe we'll open a little triangle shirt factory. You know what I'm saying? Like the one that burned down that I read about in history school. Let's get this thing going. But the issue with a lot of this homelessness stuff isn't just, hey, how do we house these people? And I don't even think you're allowed to say homeless people, the temporarily displaced people. The issue with that is a lot of times you run into this mental health thing, right? You run into an issue that's much deeper than just, does this person have a roof over their head? The person is fucking seeing demons outside. The person is seeing Yu-Gi-Oh creatures and Pokemon characters outside. You can't solve that by giving them a house, by getting them on the bus for free. And that, so now with that stuff, I will say, let me play devil's advocate and also be pro Mamdani. The idea of affordability. It's nice. It is nice. Do I think it's suitable for New York? No. So as much as I just tried to be pro him, but it doesn't make sense to me. There's places in this world that I think have already decided that they are going to be a more expensive place to live. And it just is what it is, right? New York, Miami, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Austin, Dallas to some extent. These are just expensive places to live. You want to live cheap? Go down the block over there. Go live in Queens. Go live in Staten Island. Go live in Jersey and commute in. It's not that long. It's a 40-minute train. This idea that everything should be affordable is just something I can never get behind. Especially when most of the time these people that are voting on these things, they're dealing with the issue of, hey, it must be really nice. I really do care about housing these people, their mental health, that they can make a living properly, that I can make a living properly. But at the same time, I don't want to put my safety at risk. I don't want to hurt the money that's in my pocket. Now, the brother has gotten far. I do want to say that the brother has gotten far. So something is working. And I don't think a Democratic brother or sister has done anything in the last couple of years that has been for a positive direction. Do I kind of like this guy? I do. I really do. Does he smile a little too much for me? Yes. Yes. There's nothing worse than a brother that smiles a bit too much, With girls, it's like, okay, I guess they're laughing. I guess they're laughing. Ooh, another joke. I guess they're laughing. With brothers, there's nothing worse. With dudes, there's nothing worse than a brother that smiles too much. I think that's a girl stance and a guy stance where it's just like, yo, you smiling too much. Like you a little creepy now. Why do I keep seeing your teeth? Why do I keep seeing your teeth? This is weird. Why aren't you upset about anything? I don't know about y'all, but Grumpy is in. Grumpy is in. Grumpy's been in. Look at all the brothers that are in relationships. They're not grumpy because they're with with a lady. They were grumpy. The lady came into the equation because she was like, I kind of like this. I'm not deterred by a brother that's just smiling all the time. They're not grumpy because of the lady. They're just grumpy at life. They know, what? Fuck that. Why am I smiling so much? This shit ain't that fun. And then the lady gets attracted to that. Oh my gosh. I love you. There's nothing worse than a brother that smiles too much or is too positive. Oh gosh. You say, hey brother, how's it going? He said, oh, everything's great in life. How's work going for you? Nobody likes that shit. No, listen to me. Look, don't look at the pimple that's on my cheek right there, brother, because I think I got that from fucking flying and falling asleep. Nobody likes that shit. Back up. Now let's go into candidate number 2. Andrew Cuomo, who's listed as independent. There's a third brother named Curtis Silva as a Republican person, but he has one of those, like, what's it called? One of those, not cabaret hats. Is it a cabaret hat? Might be. Anyways, the stance is on Andrew Cuomo. Now, this brother is probably the old timer, old versus new. And, okay, sorry, hold on. Stances first. Experience in governance. Emphasizes his previous experience as governor of New York and pitches it as valuable for running the city. Affordability. He has a plan for NYC addressing housing, childcare, transportation, job creation to make city living more affordable. Criminal justice jails, propose scrapping the current plan to close the Rikers Island jail and instead rebuild them, diverging from prior city policy. A lot of nonsense. If I'm being honest, a lot of nonsense. He has a plan. Oh, I think we should just scrap the current plan. But I have a different plan. What's the plan? It's a plan. The independent ticket thing is always it's just old versus new. Old versus new. And I think anytime that this has happened outside of Kamala and Trump, but then you add in, a non-white lady to the factor and all that stuff. But the point is, anytime I've seen old versus new, yeah, young, which AKA new, always wins. Most of the time, always wins. Whether it's Obama, JFK, who I think this brother is probably going to win. Zoran, speaking of. Now, on the Andrew Cuomo stuff, nobody's happy with the current state of New York. And politics is actually quite a simple game. Now, there's a certain threshold you have to reach, right? And that's just money getting donated to your campaign. You reach a certain level of popularity. You become the talk of the town. You're able to become one of the primary 3 people on the ballot. Let's say at least 2 people on the ballot. Then after that, it becomes, who's the current person? Who's the current person? Has this current person, are we happy with where we're at with this current person? Yes or no? If yes, this person's going to win again. If no, whoever's on that other side of the house, it doesn't matter whether red, blue, purple, green, orange, they're winning. They're winning. People ask, oh, how could Trump have won again? Because after the Biden years, things weren't in a better place. The same reason Trump lost the second time, lost the when he ran for re-election. Things weren't in a better place after his first 4 years. Therefore, boom, enter Joe Biden. Joe Biden, 4 years. Shit, that ain't going good. Boom, re-enter Trump. Oh, well, why didn't they vote for Kamala? That was someone different. It doesn't matter. She had his cologne still on him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they were sleeping together, but you know what I'm saying. They were eating at the same dinner table. They were sharing the same house. They were both on Air Force One. Now she's going around on these PR tours talking mad shit about him. Oh my gosh, Kamala Harris, if can we get this sister off of the podcasts? She should have been doing this when she was running for election. Now she's just going around talking shit. You know why? Because she's going to run again. I bet money that this sister is for sure going to be a candidate within, which didn't happen the first time, a Democratic nominee on the ticket. She will have to go through primaries for the first time in her life. I mean, she had to do it for vice president, but you know what I'm saying. She's going to have to go through and this is why she's doing this whole PR tour. She has a book. She's able to liberate herself as, I wasn't the president. Why are you blaming me for this shit? Oh, I actually didn't like Joe. I didn't think he was mentally stable. But oh, he bullied me. He mentally tortured me. Oh, Joe Rogan didn't have me on the podcast. It was too much to coordinate. Yeah, you lost, bro. You lost. Do I think she'll never be able to win again? Kind of. I think after you lose once, it's kind of tough to bounce back. Look at Sister Hillary. She lost once. Next thing you know, we just saw a loser. She was never able to come back. Never able to come back. She lost once to Obama. She came back against Trump. Trump beat the dog shit. He didn't beat her that hard as bad as Kamala, but he beat her too. And America's all about winning. And if we see someone loses, we don't come back and vote for them. It's just not how it works. So to bring this mayoral stuff to a close, it's very interesting to see, mainly because it's just the most popular thing on my feed, right? There might be bigger issues in Mississippi, in California. California's a big deal, but in Ohio. But New York's New York, right? New York, probably one of the greatest cities in the world. I've always stood on that. One of the greatest cities in the world. And this is a big deal. So it'll be interesting to see. Oh, what time are we at? 35 minutes? How y'all doing? Have I checked in with you guys? Oh, shit. Oh, I got a text message I got to reply to. My bad. Okay. Now then, the last two things I want to talk about. The SNAP benefits and the TSA workers, which all ties back to the government being shut down. A lot of government talk. Oh, look at me. Firstly, how are y'all doing? Checking in on your mental health. How you doing? You hanging in there? Are you going to work right now? Are you going to go work out right now? Quick inspirational message. Just fucking do it. Huh? Just fucking do it. I haven't worked out in probably a month, brother. A month. I haven't touched a weight. I haven't done a push-up. I haven't ran a mile in a month. But you know what I'm going to go do today? Now then, the government shutdown obviously has had its cascade of effects. The big thing that people always talk about is the TSA workers, right? The TSA workers, mainly because that affects them the most, right? People like us that are traveling, that are going to the airport and waiting in these long TSA pre-check lines, being like, oh gosh, these people, why is it taking them so long? But when there's government shutdown, we feel bad for them. Oh my gosh, they're working without pay. Bless their souls. Now, first, the SNAP benefits. I'm going to go through a quick little ChatGPT thing again of like what's happening, and then, I don't know, maybe just talk about it a bit. Because of the ongoing U.S. federal government shutdown, November SNAP benefits nationally and in New York are delayed or not being issued in the usual time frame. In New York specifically, the New York State OTDA that regulates November SNAP benefits and expedited prior month benefits are delayed. New applications or those submitted after November 1st will not receive benefits until federal funding is restored or shutdown ends. Meanwhile, states and nonprofits are declaring emergencies or allocating supplemental funds to food banks in preparation for a spike in food insecurity. Hey, you know what? Good. Huh? I said it. Good. These fucking states have the money to give us food anyways, so just do it. Do we need SNAP benefits? Do we need SNAP benefits? I knew a lot of parents growing up. They had plenty of money. Oh, they had all the new Nike Hyper Dunks, Hyper Fuses 2020. What year did I go to school? 2016, 2015. They had newer shoes than I did. I was wearing the Addy Zeros. Remember the ones that Derrick Rose busted his knee in? I was wearing those shoes. $100 shoe, maybe $120 at most. But at the same time, these kids were using SNAP benefits. Now, I think there is a lot of benefit to these programs that help feed families that need a little bit of help on the food side. But at the same time, does it need to be a federally funded thing? Can this just be something that comes out of the states? Do the states have money for it? I don't know. I would love to just see the math. Now, understand this. Don't get mad at me. I just want to see the math. I don't get to see enough numbers behind this shit. And at the same time, what sucks is that even if I saw the numbers, would we trust it? Would we trust it? Whether it's from the federal side, whether it's from the government side, what would we trust? Local government side. In addition to the funding distribution, there are new work requirements beginning for certain SNAP recipients, adults aged 18 to 64 without dependents, may need to work/volunteer a number of hours, maybe like 80 hours a month in some cases, or risk losing benefits. Immigration status changes. Some legally present immigrants, refugees, those under temporary protected status, may now be ineligible or face more restrictions under new rules. If you're a SNAP recipient, check your EBT card, stay current, keep an eye on updates. If you're a new applicant, whatever. So, one, they're trying to push the whole if you're legal here or not thing. Two, it just seems like they're trying to get something out of the equation, right? Hey, we need you to volunteer 80 hours a month, and then we'll give you the whatever $800 it is for benefits, however much money it is for benefits a month. I'm sure it's based on number of people on your household, average age, maybe race, but that's what I'm reading into this as. Do I think it's a good thing? I don't know, right? I don't believe in any federal program to some extent. I mean, some things I'm like, hey, I think that's a good thing. We should keep that in place. But when you actually look at some of the stuff, and I've been seeing some TikToks on like, oh, the highest percentage of SNAP benefits are used on sodas. And I don't know how much I believe of that. About 40 cents of every dollar spent went to basic items such as meats, fruits, vegetables, milks, eggs, and bread. About 20 cents of every dollar went to sweetened drinks, desserts, salty snacks, candy, and sugar-rich items. About 5 cents of each dollar to soft drinks. The remaining 40 cents, about 40 cents, went to other foods, cereals, other dairy products, rice, beans, and other cooking ingredients and prepared foods. So some of the stuff that I was seeing on TikTok, like, oh, the majority of money is going towards soft drinks, just doesn't seem true. It seems like people are just shopping for their household. And this seems like a regular grocery cart, right? 40% of a dollar is 4 cents of the dollar is 40%. That is your basic items, meats, fruits, vegetables, milks, eggs. 20% of that is the nonsense shit, right? It's the honey buns. It's the cosmic brownies. It's almost time for the Christmas zebra cakes. And then the other 40% go into your grains, your beans, the other ingredients, maybe the salt, the pepper, everything but the bagel. You know what I'm saying? Like, this seems like a regular distribution of things. So some of the shit I've been seeing on TikTok is kind of annoying because it's like, bro, how much can this shit just lie to me? I mean, or maybe ChatGPT's lying to me. You never know. Most SNAP benefits, about 86%, go to households that include a child, an elderly person, or someone with a disability. Yeah, whatever. Interpretation and caveats. The findings show SNAP households buy many of the same types of foods as non-SNAP households. Exactly what I was saying. The card distribution looks exactly the same. It's just a matter of, do I have the funds for it or not? And so this is one of those programs that, yes, I feel like it could use a little bit combing through and maybe you can get something back in return for it. But can the states pay for it? Can the states actually cover this shit and just take it out of the government's hands, right? This shouldn't be something that relies on the government being open and whatever's happening at that level of bureaucracy so then people can eat in their own households. Now on to the thing that people feel a little bit more sensitive about because it affects us a little bit more. It is the TSA people. So I've been flying probably on a weekly basis, twice a week. IAH, John Wayne Airport. John Wayne Airport doesn't count because it's a tiny airport. You fly in and out of security. Maybe it's a little 5-minute backup. Oh no. But there's been all these snaps that have been flooding my feed with, oh yeah, it's been a 3-hour wait at TSA. You better come early. I was waiting for 5 hours in line. Now, my understanding was initially that these TSA workers were getting paid out of a pool of money. And then after that pool of money runs out, then you still kind of rack up hours, right? You still have like a time card that you're still punching in and punching out. And once the government opens back up, you get back paid for that stuff. Now then, I haven't been able to find anything that can solidify that. The only thing I keep finding is that, oh yeah, they're not getting paid. And if so, I agree. That fucking blows. And salute to them for showing up. I'm not going to go up there, give them my ID and say thank you for your service, right? But at the same time, this is why I just want to find someone that works in TSA and talk to them. And I fly so often, I don't know why I don't just ask them, hey, I got a little pocket. I just want to talk to you. Are you allowed to talk about it? Do you have to sign an NDA or something like that? It sucks because obviously, air traffic air transportation in general is one of those things that people get very heated on, right? Oh my gosh, my flight's delayed. Can you believe this fat bitch was next to me on my plane? And this dude smelled like shit. Oh God, he took his fucking shoes off and he was big and he was hanging over his seat. I get it. And one of the worst parts is when you get to the airport, you're already running late because you thought, oh shit, I'll just pack tomorrow morning. And you get to the airport a little bit late and you're trying to fly through security. Good thing I have TSA pre-check. Good thing I have TSA with clear plus. And you try to fly through and it still takes however much time that takes. Stressing even more, maybe you miss your flight. It's one of the biggest parts of flying is getting through security. It's why people show up early. I need to check my bag in. I need to check in early. I need to get to the lounge. I'll just wait in the lounge. That shit has its own wait list nowadays. I had to spend $75K on my Amex to get free access to the Delta Lounge for a year. How much bullshit is that? 75 fucking K. I don't spend that much in a normal year. Don't think I'm balling like that. But because of the wedding expenses and stuff like that, 75 fucking K to get into a lounge. Brother, I need SNAP benefits. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my message there is just basically just be nice. You know what I'm saying? These people might actually be working for free. I don't know the full validity behind that, but just be nice to these people. You ain't got to complain what's taking so long, this and that. They got a job to do. They're trying to keep these terrorists out the sky. I get it. Do your thing. Salute to y'all. Actually, thank you for your service. And if you know someone that works at TSA, please forward their information to me. I would love to literally have them on the show and talk to them. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have an absolutely lovely week. Welcome to November. We've almost closed out the year. Remember to get out there. It doesn't matter how the first 10 months went. Close the year strong with me. Happy. We're coming up on the Thanksgiving time, putting out the damn. I got a lot of spit on this microphone, boy. We're coming up on the holidays. So just, get in shape before Thanksgiving comes around because, boy, it's coming. With that all being said, I hope you have a lovely week. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. I need to get some guests on here. Boy, I've been slacking a little bit. Thank you guys for your patience as always. I'll see you next week, and goodbye.